I'm always looking at sound as a way of enhancing the player's experience by providing them another channel of information. And the more the player understands about what's happening in the game, the more they're going to be able to plan for the future and kind of live in that future time, anticipating just one more turn. Making games is a team effort. We need artists, we need programmers, we need me as a designer. One of the roles that are very important is our sound department, our sound people, our music people.
I've worked on many games in my career, and I've yet to find one that has matched the level of care, dedication, and hard work that goes into creating a soundtrack like we do for our Civilization titles. Our composers go through great lengths to make sure that there's authentic melodies, themes, and instruments that are used on these tracks.
We work with the narrative team closely if we ever need more help on the research. And it makes sense. We have a bunch of historians working on this franchise. Why not utilize their help for things like sound?
When I'm working on a new Civ theme for one of the in-game civilizations, the first process is just immersion. Get immersed in what that music is, what those instruments are, the playing techniques, the sounds, how the music's been transmitted over time.
Every piece is based on an actual folk tune or an antiquity piece or a traditional piece, because just like the art, we're trying to bring the same culturally accurate feel to the music.
Because we're trying to make sure each civilization has its own sound and has the sound that came from that time period, from that culture, so that it's unique in the context of the game and also an accurate representation.
The composers have gone in and created a narrative. There's a story. When you listen to the French piece, there's a story about I'm sitting outside and I'm listening to someone play, and then I'm now moving through Paris and hearing something else. So it's really neat to see how we've been able to weave this story together.
This is really the first time where we've had themes that are locked to a specific time period.
When I was researching, some professors found a piece of pottery from ancient Greece, and when they translated the pottery, it was a hymn. And then some musicologists took a look at it and said, well, they're not all just words. There's other markings there too, and they figured out that they were pitches and durations. So in Civ, for ancient Greece, there's actually an ancient Greek tune playing in the soundtrack.
One of the reasons that authenticity is important in Civ music is that people enjoy learning, whether it's learning about great leaders or great civilizations or authentic music. Giving the player this idea that after they played the game, they're a little smarter than when they started is core to Civ.
You should be learning something, even if it's just by osmosis. And that's why it's important that it's authentic and accurate as much as we can make it.
It really has to be specific to the performers. Working with indigenous groups, First Nation groups, is a very sensitive thing. And I try to approach this very carefully. So a big part of that is listening to them. What do they want their sound to be? It's not just me going to performers and saying, can you record this part? It's me going to performers and saying, we have a certain musical tradition that we'd love to have people hear and learn about through this game. My job is not to write parts for them. My job is to hear their songs, to arrange them or piece them together in a way that makes sense for a Civ theme in the game.
If we can come together and share all our knowledge to really craft the type of civilization experience you're expecting to have, and that's still authentic to what that culture might have been like, that's when we know we've done something right.
So then the next step of that process is try to find a collaborator, an ensemble, a musician to work with.
And the Grammy goes to Christopher Tin for Baba Yetu.
This win is actually sort of historic because this song was written for a video game. And this is the first time the piece of video game music has won a Grammy.
I imagine it can be a little difficult to keep creating such iconic tracks. How do you keep doing that over the years, and how difficult is that?
It's no exaggeration to say that, the work that I did on the Civ franchise really put me on the map as a composer. First with Civ 4 and the piece I wrote for that, Baba Yetu, but then Civ 6 and now Civ 7. People say Baba Yetu or Sonia de Volare are sort of like these anthems to humanity. Well, that's because Civ, in a way, is an anthem to humanity. And, the way that I actually approach writing these themes is often I look into the game itself and I say, what is this game telling me right now? Finding something, some excerpt from some great work of literature that really screams to me and says, this is what this game is about. And so we found quotes from Beowulf, and we found something from the Popol Vuh, and then we found something from the Ramayana. And they're all sort of related in a way to this idea of do something with your life, leave your mark in history. And we decided to set all those texts within the context of the main theme, and that was pretty challenging to do. It's unlike my other Civ themes in a way, but I'm proud of the whole process of birthing it.
So for 7, when we were deciding the mix of the music, I argued to have it a little louder in general to make sure it was prominent. We still have sliders where you can turn down the music if you're more of a sound design fan, but I really think the music is a staple of Civilization, and it's truly the main thing that tells you in gameplay what civilization you're playing as.
We're trying to make it as real for you as possible. It was a lot of work, but it was fun.
A lot of the music has a pretty big dynamic range in terms of when the performers are playing quieter sections versus all the instruments playing really loudly. And so the soundtrack release and the vinyl release will have that full dynamic range of the performance.
The biggest reason why we made the soundtrack for Civilization VII on vinyl was so people can, enjoy it in their own home. And if you think about what better way to enjoy something that has stood the test of time than vinyl records?
You can't fully experience a computer game without sound. And you can't really tell the story of a civilization without music.